The recording notice. There we go. Welcome, everybody. This is the DVMUG Zoom meeting for May 14th, 2024. Today we have a couple pieces of news about the Apple event last week, very short, and two videos about that also to start with. We will be pausing the recording for the first two videos. They're only 1 minute long. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll kind of miss those. Those links are available on the BBS for those videos. And then the rest of it will be some regular how-tos and Q&A and social hour off the record at the end. So here we go. First news item. Whoop. Why did that happen? Okay, this is from Macworld. If you watch the keynote, you'll recall that they played this very elaborate production video about the new iPad, and we're going to watch that in a minute. Supposedly, there was a huge uproar about this in the professional art community, so much so it was going to be a 60-second commercial on TV, and Apple killed it because there was so much controversy. So that's kind of a shame. So we're going to watch it in coming up shortly. Anybody watch that never seen that in the keynote? Crush the iPad?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was kind of cool.
It's very cool. So I don't know we'll see. If you want to know what they were complaining about, you can read the article.
Too much political correctness.
Yeah, so okay, next news item, in case you haven't heard, yesterday there was updates for everything. The regular way it goes now. Every item you own has an update, including 3 versions of the Mac OS back and 2 versions of the iPad and iPhone OS. All had updates, and they're mostly all security updates. Very small feature update. The main one is this Android tracking of devices. So if somebody's tracking you not with a Apple, what do they call them? The AirPod? Not AirPods. The little trackers from Apple.
Air tags.
Well, supposedly, I guess Android or Google has a similar thing, and now it can track those. They made a partnership with Google to both watch each other's stuff. So that is a new that's the major new feature. And Apple News Plus subscribers who paid get a new game that they can play when they're not connected to the internet. Whoopee. Also, there was updates for, that's what this is, only for that. And then there's one more. Let me see, forward, please. Yeah. Videos. Okay, the first video is going to be from Apple, and along with the second one, very short. So we'll go forward, and it won't move forward. Okay, and pause the recording. Welcome back, everybody. This is the news section is over, and this is going to be a little video from Apple Insider about the new iPad and Air and the features. So here we go.
The 2024 iPad Pros and iPad Airs are out. Apple is pushing the envelope here, so let's get into all the juicy details. The freshly updated iPad Pros stole the show, boasting loads of substantial improvements from the display to the shocking new CPU. Both the 11 and 13-inch models use gorgeous OLED displays. This will make the displays look even better with deep, inky blacks and beautiful pops of color. OLED can sometimes suffer from low brightness, so Apple is employing a tandem OLED design that uses 2 panels for typical full screen output of 1,000 nits and up to 1,600 nits for HDR content. Apple is calling this an Ultra Retina XDR display. Oh, Apple is also introducing a non-reflective nano-textured glass option too, just like its Pro Display XDR. As a bonus, they're thinner than ever. The 12.9-inch model is actually a whole millimeter thinner than before. They look absolutely nuts. Apple says it makes it the thinnest product Apple has ever made. Just as predicted, the front-facing camera has been relocated, moving to a landscape orientation. This makes a bunch of sense to me. It's where the camera needs to be when you're using it with a keyboard, which happens most of the time for me. While there are lots of additions, we did see one deletion. Apple has done away with the ultra-wide lens. Before it was terrible quality, so without a substantial improvement, I just never bothered using it anyway, so whatever. The primary physical camera sensor didn't change much here, but the flash did. The improved adaptive flash is great for scanning documents. When a document is detected, multiple photos will be taken with different colors of flash, then combined together. It's pretty cool. The tablets are running on Apple's new M4 processor. It's wild that we're getting the M4 only 7 months after the launch of the M3. They're using a new second generation 3nm process, which promises to be more power efficient than before. It is of course faster than the M2 and boasts a GPU that is 50% more powerful. Besides that, they say they boosted thermals by 20%, which should also help performance. I'll be sure to put all these claims to the test once I get these in the studio. Apple teased the possibility of AI with its neural engine and machine learning skills with these new chips, but I can't help but to think they're laying the groundwork for the monumental artificial intelligence changes that'll be arriving later this year as part of iPadOS 18. Be sure you subscribe to the channel for all of that. Finally, Apple upped the storage. They now start with 256 gigs and go up to 2 terabytes. It's said that these new displays were twice as expensive for Apple to source, and because of that, some of that cost is being passed on to the consumer. The new tablets rose slightly in price and are now starting at $999 for the 11-inch and $1299 for the 13-inch. They're also bolstered by new accessories. There was a new Magic Keyboard and the new Apple Pencil Pro. You can check out those in another dedicated video that I've linked here. While the iPad Pros represent the high end, most users don't need a device this powerful, or expensive for that matter. That's where the pair of new iPad Airs comes in. Apple has delivered not one, but 2 iPad Air models in 11 and 13-inch sizes. This gives users a more affordable option to the new, pricier iPad Pros. They didn't get the mini LED panels that were originally expected, but they're still bright, liquid retina displays that are vivid and colorful. At least the displays are colorful. The colors themselves feel quite muted, with a super pale blue and purple plus starlight and gray. It's like the iPhone 15 blue phone all over again here. They have improved stereo landscape speakers with spatial audio, and the 13-inch version has double the bass performance. Both models will be running Apple's M2 processor on the inside. Compared to the M1 that was in the air previously, it's a good upgrade, and probably more power than most users will need. In use, it can be up to 50% faster than the M1 and 3 times faster if you're coming from the A14 Bionic. Like the iPad Pros, the camera has been relocated to the side. Lastly, it now supports Wi-Fi 6E and starts with double the base storage. The 11-inch model has the same price tag as before of $599, while the new 13-inch will run you $799. That fits in nicely under the larger iPad Pro price tag. If you're looking for a new entry-level iPad or iPad mini, you're going to have to keep waiting. Those were not rumored to be released until the fall. Let me know if you're going to pick up one of Apple's new tablets down below in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on to keep up to date with the latest Apple news.
There you go. Anybody could get one? Comments, questions? You still there? I'm not hearing anybody. Did I mute
Well, it's hard to
myself?
respond quickly because we're all muted. And then we have to
Oh.
bring the mute switch back up on the screen.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we want to stay muted during the video so it doesn't switch to you guys.
So I need one. I need a new iPad because I can't update mine anymore, unfortunately.
Well,
So I'm definitely going to get a new one. I'm not sure which one.
The other thing he didn't mention is the 9th gen iPad with the home button and the headphone jack was discontinued. And the 10th gen, which has Doesn't have a home button, and it didn't have that price was lowered $100. That's a nice computer. That's now $349. That's a nice
Other
iPad.
people other
for the
than
money.
Apple had already reduced it to that price.
Well, they've been blowing out the 9th gen on Amazon for months at $249, and they're probably still out there till they're all gone. They must have too many of them when they weren't selling or something, because they were on sale everywhere. The Pro models, I think they're pretty much aimed at professional people. They start at $1,000 and go up from there. If you get keyboards 300, pencils 100, that's what, 1,400. If you don't get extra storage, you can get the extra storage, you can easily run it up over $2,000. Okay, next. Keyboard, Magic Keyboard, and the Apple Pencil Pro are new. There we go.
Apple just released 2 killer accessories for its iPad lineup: a revamped Magic Keyboard and the high-end Apple Pencil Pro. I've got to tell you why they're such a big deal. Let's kick this off with the Magic Keyboard. Most of the rumored tweaks came to fruition with an updated design and a larger trackpad that will take your productivity on iPad to the next level. The updated Magic Keyboard still retains the same functionality as before, but the top case surrounding the keyboard and the palm rest is now made of aluminum, giving more of a MacBook-like feel. The outside still retains the soft touch silicone material. Apple has increased the trackpad size noticeably, fixing one of the long-standing issues about the original model. It's much easier to pull off those multi-touch gestures now, and it has haptic feedback. The aluminum is also sturdier. If you've ever held the existing 12.9-inch model from the edge, you know it can feel a bit flimsy. It made this sturdier while also making it thinner and lighter than before. Best of all, it has a new, dedicated row of function keys, just like on your Mac. You can easily adjust the screen brightness, volume, and more. It comes in both black and white colors to match the new iPad Pros. I think the new Magic Keyboard looks amazing. Let me know what you guys think of this updated design down below in the comments. Other aspects here stay the same, including its simple magnetic connection and integrated USB-C port for pass-through charging. Even with all these changes, Apple kept the price the same. The 11-inch fetches the same steep $299 price tag as before, and the 13-inch is $349. It's compatible with the new 11 and 13-inch iPad Pros. That brings us to Apple's second new accessory, the Apple Pencil Pro. I may be even more excited for this one. It had been uncertain if it would get that Pro appendage or simply have its model number incremented to 3rd generation, but with all these new features, Pro is fitting. When using the updated stylus, there's a new squeeze gesture that can be mapped to different functionality in each app. Apple highlighted its own UI and in Procreate how you could pull up a tool selector without skipping a beat. There's also a roll sensor in the barrel itself, allowing you to change the orientation of the pencil, pen, or brush that you're using. At the end of the Apple Pencil Pro is a new haptic engine. This will be huge in giving you physical feedback as you work. As you move something into place, it can snap so you know it's placed correctly, basically bringing a form of haptics to the iPad for the first time. Finally, the 3rd gen device builds in support for Find My. It can show the pencil in the Find My app, and you can get alerted if you inadvertently leave it behind. Apple also says there's a new charging placement sensor on these updated iPad Pros. Otherwise, the plethora of Apple Pencil features we had before are still here. There's ultra-low latency, tilt and hover support, an incredible degree of precision, a double tap gesture to toggle between tools, and it magnetically connects to the side of your iPad for seamless pairing and wireless charging. The new Apple Pencil Pro will retail for $129. It works with the new iPad Pros as well as the updated iPad Airs. Both the new Magic Keyboard and Apple Pencil Pro will be hitting shelves on May 15th. So, are you interested in picking up either of these new accessories? Let me know why or why not down below in the comments. Be sure you're subscribed with those notifications turned on, and I'll bring you up to date with all the latest Apple news.
There you go. I think the pencil is very cool. I don't use it, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, the pencil seems really cool.
Yeah, I think they're taking target at Wacom or Wacom with their tablet because it's built in. It does all these things. They brought out the guy from Procreate, the CEO.
Yeah.
It's really integrated with that. They made a bunch of new features that work with the new pencil for its really professional art program.
Now that keyboard, for half the price, you can get a Logitech with backlit keys that has the buttons at the top as well. I don't understand why they don't backlight the keyboard, the keys on the Magic Keyboard.
Yeah, the keyboard's expensive.
Yeah, but it's it's not very useful in a darkened room without backlit keys.
Yeah, I agree. It's expensive. The pencil seems like a pretty cool deal. I don't know if anybody makes anything remotely like that.
Are we sure that this keyboard doesn't have backlit keys?
Yeah.
The new one?
Did you look at the buttons at the top? There's no button for backlit control. Only brightness of the screen. Backlight controls are supposed to be about the middle of the length of those keys. Like on my Logitech, it's right up there. Keys dim, keys bright.
Well, it could be built in. I had an old Logitech keyboard that as your hands approached it, the keys would fade, the light keyboard backlighting would fade in automatically. That was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But they discontinued that keyboard.
Yeah.
So the new pencil only works on the very newest models, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, the Airs and the Pros, the new Airs and the Pros. There's now, I think, 3 pencils or 4. It's very confusing.
I think there's 4 pencils.
There's certain pencils work with certain iPads, and they're not cross-compatible. It's like very confusing.
And then there's knockoffs. I have a knockoff for $39 that works pretty well.
I have this amazing one that comes in this nice case. And it's big and fat and squishy. And this is
is that the Microsoft one?
This is so fresh that where I bought it. I bought it at Macworld.
What?
Yes.
What brand is that?
Cosmonaut.
Oh yeah.
It's just a dumb stylus. It's not electronic. Has nice sound to it. It's very nice.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else? We want to move on and start the recording? Are we done with this?
We're already.
Okay.
We started the recording before this one. I think. Yeah.
I thought we were supposed to. Is it recording, Ann?
We're recording.
Okay, here we go. How to view transcripts in Apple Podcasts on the iPhone. This is a very short Apple one. From support, not to make us taken down.
You can make podcasts more accessible and immersive by viewing a transcript of an episode. Here's how. On an episode page in the Podcasts app, you can scroll down to view a transcript or tap the More button and tap View Transcript. Tap back to return to the episode page. You can also read along with an episode as it plays. To start, tap the player at the bottom of the screen to open the Now Playing screen, then tap Play. Now, tap the Transcript button in the bottom left of the screen. Words in the transcript will highlight as that section of the podcast plays. You can tap Search to find a particular word or phrase within a transcript. Tap the podcast artwork in the top left of the screen to return to the playback controls. Get the most out of podcasts. To learn more about your Apple products, subscribe to the Apple Support.
Short and sweet. I like the Apple ones. I'm not sure when that feature started. Did they say? Is that iOS 17 feature? Everybody muted again? Nobody's speaking?
Yes, everybody's muted again. Okay, I have I'm sorry. Is this for any kind of podcast on an Apple phone or?
No, it's for the Apple Podcast app, the
Yeah, the
official
app.
podcast app, which I don't use because I much prefer Overcast.
Okay.
So between videos, we're muting everybody except me, I guess.
Yeah.
I mute myself because I don't want,
Okay.
background noises, Yeah,
okay, that's good. But don't mute me because I don't have a control to unmute myself. Was I going to disrupt the video? I don't have my controls.
That's my job here, is to mute people when they
mute. There you go. Okay, let's move. Anybody else? Next video, you want any more discussion about this? Questions? Okay, we'll move on. This is from Gary. How many Mac third-party apps installers work? This is very common and very simple, and people don't understand it. So he's going to give us a little insight here.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's take a look at what goes on when you try to install many third-party apps. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 2,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So I've noticed that many new Mac users, and some longtime Mac users that may not have run into this before, are a little confused about what happens when you try to install a third-party app that you've downloaded from the web, not from the App Store. So as an example here, let's look at a couple browsers. Here's the download page for Google Chrome. Say you want to add this as a second browser on your Mac. So you click the download button here, and then when you allow downloads, it begins the download. If I look here under downloads, it shows that it's complete, and I can even use this little magnifying glass to go to it. When I do so, it opens up the downloads folder, and here, sure enough, is what was downloaded. What you've got here is a file with a .dmg extension. If you double click on it, it seems to open this file up, and you get a window that looks like this. Each app seems to have a different kind of look to it, but the general idea is you get this window that opens, you see the app that you want to install, the one you downloaded, and then you see this folder here with an A on it. This, if you notice, looks just like your applications folder. And if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, you'll notice this little curved arrow there. And then usually there's an arrow pointing from the app to this folder. So let's break this down. The file that you downloaded is actually a disk image. That's what the DMG stands for. A disk image is a compressed file that when you open it, acts like it's an external hard drive. And sure enough, if you look here in the Finder, you could see it listed under Locations. There it is. In this case, there's a little external hard drive called Google Chrome. So what it's done is it's mounted this hard drive. That's not really a hard drive. It's actually a file. And it's giving you access to what's inside. And what's inside is a single file, this application here, and an arrow and this representation of your applications folder. Now, a lot of people make a mistake at this point, and they will simply double click on the file and it will run the app. But what it's actually doing is it's running the app from this kind of fake external drive that's really a disk image. You haven't actually installed it on your Mac. Sometimes this is actually good for previewing an app, but other times the app will simply refuse to run, saying it needs to be placed in the applications folder first. Either way, you really should move it out of this disk image into the applications folder. And that's in fact what this little representation of your applications folder is doing. It's giving you an easy way to get to the applications folder. If you actually select this, you'll find it's a normal icon, sometimes with a name, sometimes without. You can see this just has a blank name here. And then if I go to File and then Get Info, you could see here under Info, it's of kind alias. What that means is it's basically this link to the actual folder, not the folder itself. So sure enough, if I were to just double click on this, it would open up my applications folder. It's the same place I would get to if I went in the Finder here and either used the little application shortcut here on the left under favorites or go applications. You get to the same place. Now what it's doing here inside this disk image is it's giving you an easy way to move this application to your applications folder. Now I could simply drag and drop it into my applications folder like that, but that would entail having to open up another Finder window, go to the applications folder, and then do the drag. This is trying to save you some steps. If you drag from here to here, it does the same thing. It would actually place the file in your applications folder using this shortcut or alias to the applications folder to make it easy for you. So once you've done that, once you've dragged this application to this representation of the applications folder, it might take a few seconds or even a minute to actually bring the entire file over to make a copy of it in your applications folder. At that point, what you should do is close this window here and in the Finder, find under Locations this disk image and simply eject it by clicking the button there. Once it's ejected and you've installed this file, you can now go to your Downloads folder and there's that disk image and you can get rid of this file. You don't need it anymore. You've taken the only thing that was actually in it and correctly installed it in your applications folder. So you can just drag this to the trash and now it's in the trash, and the next time you empty the trash it will delete that. Or in the Finder you could go to Finder and empty trash to do that right now. Here's another example, another browser, the Firefox browser. So if I click download, then it's going to start downloading this file and we'll put it in my downloads folder or wherever you've set your default download location for Safari to be. And once that's done, you can go to your downloads folder and same thing here. If you double click on it, it's going to mount this drive and you can see it now listed under locations. This one's just called Firefox. And in this case, the developers have chosen to give it a dark background, to put some text back here. There's the app itself. They even put a little separate label down below. And here's their link to the applications folder. They did a cute little curvy arrow too instead of just a straight one. But the action for you is the same. You don't run it here. You drag and drop and then it will copy this file to the applications folder. Then you can close this. You can eject that drive and you can throw away that disk image. And here's a third example. This is the popular text editing tool BB Edit. We can download it like this and then it's going to download here. And when it's done, you can go to it. There's another disk image, double click to open, and now you've got the application here. You've got the representation of the application folder. You've got the arrow, all the standard things. In this case, they give you a little bit more instruction, so it's a little more obvious what to do. Just drag this to here and it places a copy of the app in your applications folder. So I think one of the reasons people are confused about this is because it seems like you might need to do more to install an app. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you get apps that have a full installer that walk you through step by step and they may install the application in the applications folder and may actually install additional components as well. Most modern apps today don't need anything except the application itself. There aren't additional components that need to be installed in the library or anything like that. That's why this very simple installation process is possible. But in fact, even 2 decades ago, this was a popular installation option for a lot of Mac apps. So I hope you found this useful, or at least it answers a question that you may have been curious about. Thanks for watching.
There you go. Very common. Just I look in people's downloads folder and they have DMG files and installers after they install them, and it's littered with those things. They never get rid of them. You can unmute if you want to comment or ask a question.
I posted something in chat since he was mentioning Google Chrome as one of the apps you do this with. Today, Google Chrome posted an update for a 0-day exploit, and it's a critical one. So update your Google Chrome if that's what you like to use. Very important.
I was busy this morning. I didn't even see that.
Take a look in the
Thank
chat.
you.
I put the link.
Yeah,
Okay,
I may have run the update and not even looked at what it was for. I always run the updates. I was updated all last night and all this morning, all these updates. I just been updating everything.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Should we go look for these DMG images and erase them?
If you look in your downloads folder and if you've installed them, you don't need them anymore.
Okay.
It's possible you downloaded them and didn't know what to do and you never installed them.
I've installed everything I wanted, but I've not ever gotten rid of those download files. So once I've downloaded them, I should just delete that stuff. And that's the
Yep.
piece I got out of this.
Yep. You don't need them.
Okay.
They're just taking up space.
Yeah. And thanks about the update Google Chrome piece. I'll be sure I did do that.
My Google Chrome and Firefox automatically update as soon as there's an update. When you launch it, it immediately updates.
Mine might too, so I'll check that.
If you go to the About Chrome or About Firefox, when you open it, I think you'll see it's automatically updating itself.
When you open it.
Cool.
Mostly when I open it, it either says it's up to date, but more often what it says is updating and it has to download the update. So I don't think it's been for me updating it while it's not open without checking and going to about Chrome.
No, it updates automatically as soon as you open the app. If you go to About, if it says updating, you'll see that it's in the process of downloading the update right then. It wasn't started by opening About. You're just seeing what's going on.
Okay. All righty then. Next video, are we ready? That's from Gary. Import photos from cameras and SD cards using image capture. This is if you don't use your iPhone, you have some other kind of camera directly from the camera, or more common is most cameras use SD cards these days. And you pull the card out of the camera and put it in a little reader, or a lot of Macs have a little SD card reader in them where you stick it in the slot. And to me, that works better than the old way of hooking a cable up to your camera. Most people don't do that anymore. So here we go.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how you can use the Image Capture app on your Mac to download photos from your camera. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 2,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So most Mac users use the Photos app to download photos from either their iPhone or camera and then manage them across their devices. However, sometimes you don't want photos in the Photos app. For instance, maybe you use your Photos app for all your personal photos, but you also take photos for work and you don't want those mixed in with your regular photos. So it'd be great to be able to download those from your camera or from your iPhone and have them as files in folders separate from your regular photos in the Photos app. You could do that using the Image Capture app. That's an app that you already have on your Mac. It comes with Mac OS. This app is in your Applications folder. So in the Finder, if you go to Applications and then you scroll through what's there, you're going to find Image Capture right there. But you could also easily get to it through Spotlight or through Launchpad. And let's launch it right here, and this brings it up. Now I don't have anything connected here, so it shows nothing. But if I take the SD card from my DSLR camera and I insert it into the SD card slot on my Mac Studio, then I'll be able to access the photos that are on this card. If you don't have an SD card slot on your Mac, most Macs don't, then you can get a pretty inexpensive SD card reader that plugs into a USB port. And of course, a lot of cameras also allow you to connect them using a USB cable. So you're using your camera as the SD card reader. And the way you do it, as soon as you insert the SD card, then you're going to see it appear here in image capture. So there's this one. Now note that it also appears in the Finder. So if I create a new Finder window here, I can actually see it under Locations. So there's the card there. And I can go through these folders here and try to find those photos. So that is another option. But the image capture app gives you a lot more features than that. If I select the card here, I'm going to actually see previews of all the photos that are here in a list. And I can switch between list view or icon view for all of these. In list view though, I get a lot of different columns here. Let me expand this and I can see here I've got name, kind, date, file size, the width and height of the photos, the camera settings like aperture, shutter speed, all this stuff right here. I can resize all these columns, including the preview over here. So if I resize this first column by dragging to the left, I can actually make the thumbnail smaller. But this is kind of the maximum size, the largest they'll get. In icon view, you've got the slider up here that allows you to increase or decrease the size. Now at the bottom, you've got your import location. So here I've got it set to the pictures folder, but I can choose another folder, or I can choose other and select any folder that I want, including making new folders. So the basic idea is you select the photos that you want to download. You can click to select. You can use the command key to select others. You can use the shift key to select arrange. Once you've got the ones that you want and you have it set to import to the folder that you want, then you can just click the download button here. And then we'll download those files and put them in those folders. I can also choose to import directly into the Photos app from image capture. I can choose to have them open in the preview app or go directly to a new message in Mail. If I select preview, the same photo would just open up as a document in preview, then giving me the chance to save it. Notice the green check marks here. These show that these are ones you've already downloaded. And when you try to download it again, it won't let you. It's already there. But if I change locations, like let's go to the desktop with this, you can see the check marks are gone. It recognizes that those pictures are there in the pictures folder, but not in the desktop folder. So really handy for being able to selectively download what you need and kind of keep track. Now you also have this download all button here. So if you just want to quickly download all the photos from the card to this location, then you can do it without having to select them all first. Now you have a lot of special tricks that you can do here. One is using the context menu. So you can control click, two-finger click on a trackpad, right click on a mouse on any one of these. And when you do so, you get this little context menu. So here I could just decide to import this individual one. I can delete it, so remove it from the SD card without importing it. If it's one I've already downloaded, I can then use Reveal in Finder to go to it very easily, and I can still delete it. But you can see import is grayed out. The file is already at this location. You could also just drag and drop. So I can select this one here and drag and drop it to any location I want. I'll drag and drop it to the desktop. Notice how the check mark isn't there because it's still looking in pictures for where it places the check mark, and I put it on the desktop. But this is really handy if you want to drag and drop different photos to different folders. You can just move this to the side, have a Finder window open here with your different folders showing, and you can drag and drop into folders very easily. Also, with the card selected, you can go to this button here at the top, and you can decide what happens when this card is inserted. So this functionality goes beyond image capture. And here I can have it that when this card or camera is connected, I can have it automatically open an app. I can select one of these or any other app to have it automatically open whenever you insert the card. So this is handy to know not just for setting it, but for removing it, switching to no application. If you find that you've got a camera SD card that automatically launches an app when you connect it, then this is where you can go to set it to no application so it'll stop doing that. You also have this button here which actually rotate a photo. Depends on the file type though. These are all raw type photos, so that's not active. But this photo is a regular JPEG. So I can actually rotate the photo like this so when it imports correctly to begin with. Now note you can also plug in an iPhone connected with a cable and you'll be able to see it here as well. When I go to it, I can see the photos that are there, and I can do the same things with these. I can select them, I can select where to import them to, I can control click and you can see there's import, there's delete. So if I'm going to pull photos directly off my iPhone, or perhaps an iPhone that's not set up as my primary iPhone, like one for work, I can do so with image capture, just like with any other camera. One thing about image capture is that it doesn't get a lot of love from Apple. It hasn't been updated in a little while. Still works perfectly well on the current set of Macs. I have noticed that sometimes it does strange things. Like I noticed that sometimes when you download a photo, it will automatically open in the default app, usually Preview. And other times it doesn't. It just downloads and that's it. And of course, image capture can be used for more than just reading SD cards and cameras. You can also use it for scanners. I've talked about that in previous videos. So the pictures you take aren't all the same. You use cameras and even your iPhone for work sometimes, and you want to have pictures go to different places. Definitely get to know the image capture app on your Mac. Hope you found this useful.
Very useful app. Love it. It can be also very useful if you have a bunch of photos or videos on your phone and it's getting full. Instead of trying to delete them onesie twosies, you can open this up, sort by size or kind, and you could select all the videos with one shift to a whole, and you can hit delete and delete them all. Now be careful if you're syncing them to photos on your Mac, that's going to delete them off the Mac too. So some people they need to clean out their phone because they have too much stuff. Comments, questions, unmute, ask your question. You can hear me, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. I can't tell. Okay, shall we move on? Next. This is how to use your iPhone as a scanner on your Mac. Okay, here we go.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how you can scan documents into your Mac using your iPhone. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 2,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now you may think that in order to scan documents into your Mac that you need a scanner. But in fact, you can use your iPhone for this. I'm not talking about scanning to your iPhone and then transferring over to your Mac. I'm talking about using your iPhone as a scanner for the file to go directly to your Mac. So for my first example, I'm going to scan this 2-page document into my Mac using my iPhone, and I'm going to do it directly to a file. So here I am in the Finder, and if you select a folder, so let's say this examples folder here, and I control-click on it, 2-finger click on a trackpad, right-click on a mouse, I can see the context menu. One of the options you should see here is import from iPhone or iPad. And here I've got my iPhone and my iPad listed. Now the reason these are listed here is because they are using the same Apple ID, they are nearby, and I've got Bluetooth and Wi-Fi turned on for these devices. And they should appear automatically. There's really nothing for you to do. But if you want to dig more into this and what the requirements are, check out this page at Apple's site. And it shows you which apps support this feature, which is called Continuity Camera. And it gives you some step-by-steps as well as requirements for using it. So here in the context menu, I'm going to select Scan Documents. I can select Take Photo, just to take a regular photo, which is useful in other cases. But in this case, I'm going to choose Scan Document, and my iPhone is automatically going to react to that by bringing up this scanning interface. And now I can position my iPhone to where it gets the full page in, and it should automatically take it. And then I'm going to go to the next page, and it should automatically take that as well. But if it doesn't for some reason, I can press this button that's here to automatically take it. I can also tap here to review the pages here. I can just swipe between them and I can retake one. I can crop, and there's some other tools here as well. I can also trash it. If it looks okay in the review, I can tap done and go back to scanning. Notice there are also options here, like for instance, I can turn off auto. So I have to use that shutter button there. I also can turn on and off the flash if I want. And I've got some options here. I can set it to color, grayscale, black and white, or photo. Those are the quality choices there. And when I'm done with the scan, on my iPhone here, I tap the Save button. And it's going to save. So here, if I look in the folder now, I'm going to see where it says Scanned Document. And I can select it, and I'll quick look, and I'll see the document right there. Since it is a PDF, if I double click on it, I can actually open it up in preview, or I can work with it some more if I like. For instance, I go to the markup tools here, and I can mark it up. I can use a selection tool here, for instance, and I can select an area of this page here, and then under tools I can go to crop or Command K, so I can further adjust things in preview just like I would with any other PDF. Of course, also I can rename it now to something that makes more sense. So in addition to the context menu here in the folder, there are other ways to get to this functionality. For instance, if I was in icon view here, so I had some blank space to click on, I could bring up the context menu here and actually save the scan right to this same folder. You could also do it inside of apps. So for instance, here I am in preview. Instead of creating a new document or opening a document, I've got import right here, and I can import a scan from the iPhone. So I'm going to do it again here, and I'm just going to scan this receipt, and then I'm going to tap Save, and you can see here I've got that scan here. This is handy because I can now go in and edit it. So I'll go to markup tools here. I will crop it here to only what I need. And when I save it, I could actually save the format as a PDF. And you might find under Quartz Filter the ability to use a reduced file size, which will save something smaller. Or perhaps I can just save it as a JPEG. And I can set the resolution here and the quality. So notice if I save this, I'll just save it to the desktop. This saves a pretty small file right here, only 46K. So if you're looking to save some space and have smaller scans, that's one way to do it. But you could also scan directly into apps. So for instance, here I'm in Pages, and if I control click, right click, or two finger click, see I can insert a photo or a scanned document right here inside of this document here. So I'll let it take that photo, and then I'll save it. And you can see now I've got the image right inside of the Pages document. I didn't have to save it in an intermediate file first. Notes is another place where you can easily scan. I can go to File and then Insert from iPhone or iPad here, and I can scan a document right into a note. Or even an email message. I'll compose a new message here. If I want to scan something and have it go directly into here, I can control click, right click, or two finger click here, and I've got the same insert menu to scan a document right into this message without having it be in a file first. So of course, one of the biggest advantages doing this is you don't have to buy a completely different device like a scanner or replace your printer with a printer scanner combination if you need to scan in occasional documents. Downsides are it can get unwieldy to do large documents. If you've got a 40-page document to get through, that's a lot of individual shots to take. But even that, if you don't need to do it too often, it's pretty easy to do it on your iPhone and save the money and space on a scanner. Another downside is size. This technique really doesn't do much to conserve size, so if you're worried about that, then you definitely want to scan into preview and do things there to reduce the size before you save the file. Whereas a regular scanner may give you options to scan at pretty low resolution in grayscale all the time and create smaller PDFs. So I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
There you go. Pretty cool feature. Comments, questions? Unmute yourself. Or our next video. More questions? Moving on. How to transcribe audio on the iPhone.
The Voice Memos app doesn't have a built-in way to take a voice recording and turn it into text on a screen. But using live captions and accessibility feature, you can transcribe a voice recording and read what it says on your iPhone or Mac. You can use live captions if your device language is set to English and you are using an iPhone 11 or newer running at least iOS 16. Live captions is also supported on the iPad 8 or newer, iPad Air 3rd generation or newer, iPad mini 5th generation or newer, iPad Pro 11-inch all generations, and iPad Pro 12.9-inch 3rd generation or newer. All iPads must be running at least iOS 16. If you find the video helpful, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. To turn on live captions on your iPhone or iPad, and although I'm doing this on my iPhone, remember that you can do it on your iPad as well. We'll want to open up the Settings app, scroll and tap on Accessibility, scroll down in Accessibility until you see Live Captions, tap on that. Go ahead and toggle on the switch that says Live Captions. Below that, tap on Appearance. I'll leave this up to you, but you can change the text size, the color, the background color, the opacity. I'll leave that up to you. Go ahead and tap on Back. Live captions can also be used in FaceTime, so you can toggle that switch on if you want to see text on the screen during your FaceTime call. And you'll notice once I toggled on the live caption switch that the live captions icon appeared on my screen. Now that we have live captions turned on, we're going to want to go ahead and open the Voice Memos app, which you can see right there. I'll open it, locate the recording that you want to transcribe. So in this case, I'm going to use the Work 2 recording. I'm going to tap on the live caption screen. And once I do, if the microphone is on, it's going to pick up my voice, but I want it to pick up the Work 2 voice. So I'm going to hold on for a second and not talk for a few seconds, but I'm going to go ahead and tap on the live captions, and right now it's in paused. I'm going to tap on play in the work recording, and then I'm going to unpause. I'm going to pause it for a second. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it to full screen by tapping on the little diagonal arrows. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. So if I wanted to, I could turn off the volume and just watch the recording as it scrolls by. If I want to come back so that I have it in the smaller version, I can go ahead and tap on the double arrows. I'm going to go ahead and tap on play. And you can see that it's picking up the recording again. So this is an easy way for you to use transcription when you're working inside of the Voice Memos app. I'm going to go ahead and pause again. I'm going to stop the recording, and I'm just going to remind you that if you want to turn off live captions, all you have to do is swipe out of here. I'm going to hit the back arrow, which is going to bring us back to the icon on the screen. I'm going to come into Settings. I'm going to scroll to Accessibility. I'm going to scroll down until under Hearing, I see Live Captions, and I can go ahead and toggle that switch off, and you'll see that the icon disappears. A couple of bonus tips that will allow you to see text on the screen using your voice. You can use the Translate app or the Messages app. So the following tips will help if you're hard of hearing and you want to be able to see a voice recording translated to text on your screen. Let's start with the Translate app. So the first thing we're going to do is open the Translate app. Make sure that translation is highlighted. And now what you're going to want to do is be sure that you're in the language that you understand. So for me, this is English. And so what you want to do is, using the Translate app, you're going to tap on the microphone and ask the person to begin speaking. So I'm going to tap on the microphone. And once I tap on the microphone, you're going to see that I can see the message on the screen. So you can use this if you're hard of hearing and you're unable to see or hear what people are saying to you. This is an easy way to see voice recordings on the screen, and they're transcribed as someone is speaking them. So even though you're seeing the translation into Spanish, what I want you to focus on is the fact that you can use the Translate app to have someone speak to you so that you're able to read the text there on the screen. You can also use the Messages app. And so what you'll want to do is open a new message, and I've already done that. Start a new conversation, and I'm going to use myself as the contact. So we're going to tap on the plus button, and we're going to choose audio. And now as soon as I do, it starts recording, and I can speak my message and say whatever I want. And then when I'm finished, I'm going to go ahead and hit the stop button. And once I hit the stop button, I'm going to go ahead and tap on send. And what should happen is in a few seconds, you should see the transcription below the screen. And so there it is. So I tapped on the message, the voice message, and below that, what I said is transcribed on the screen. So that's another way to have your voice transcribed so that you can see it, or so that you can send it to someone else for them to see it. Use the audio function in Messages. While the Voice Memos app lacks a direct transcription feature, Live Captions, an accessibility tool, allows users to transcribe voice recordings on iOS devices. By enabling live captions in the device settings, users can effortlessly convert spoken dialogue into text in real time, providing accessibility and convenience. Additionally, leveraging live captions for voice memos and the bonus tips like Translate or Messages app offers a comprehensive solution for transcribing and understanding spoken content on iPhones and iPads. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next.
There you go. Comments or questions? Unmute yourself. Go ahead.
I wonder of the accuracy of the transcription. If this is a literal transcription and you're doing it from one language to another, for example, English or something, into Spanish, I don't believe that's correct. Is literally transcribing word per word, and though that does not really make a real sentence in Spanish.
Well,
Well,
I've
see-
used it before in communicating with some friends in Italy, and they tell me it's not perfect, but it is quite understandable. And actually, just minutes ago, while this was going, I translated an email into Hungarian and sent it, and we'll see how well it worked.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, but it seems to be pretty good. The Spanish, which I'm more familiar with, seems to be quite good.
But be sure that you're speaking very clearly, and tell them you're using a translator. So if you say something offensive, they'll know you didn't mean it.
Exactly.
Also, she said that, I unmuted, she said that the feature was not there for voice memos, but that's supposed to be coming in the next release. You should be able to take voice memos and run them through, but that will be in iOS 18 and newer.
Okay, I'm not sure if that was the last video, was it?
I
There you
would
go.
that for language translation, Google Translate was probably more accurate, I would guess, just because Google seems to do an amazing job at recognizing words, even if you miss
Yes.
them. And they,
I have to confess, it was Google Translate I used. I should have been clearer. But the Apple Translate works good too, but for something special, I used Google.
Okay, I'll stop the recording and start a new one.
Yeah, we'll